Welcome back to TrustDale TV. Glad you're with us. I am Dale Cardwell, and it's time now for our weekly feature, The Legal Lifeline, where attorney Gary Martin Hayes guides us through legal issues you should know about. Hey, Gary, tell us our topic today.
Dale, car wrecks happen every day here in Georgia, and oftentimes people are injured in these collisions. And the questions I'm always asked by potential clients is this: why should I hire a personal injury attorney? Well, I've invited attorney Richard Griffin from the Griffin Law Firm to our studio today to answer that question. So, Richard, why should someone hire a personal injury attorney to help them with a car wreck claim?
Well, that's a great question. I tell you, if you don't have an attorney, then right from the beginning you can really have a difficult time with your case. First thing we're going to do is investigate that accident. We're going to try to make sure that we get the witness statements from the recorded statements from the witnesses when the facts are fresh in their mind. We're going to try to make sure we get photographs of the accident scene, of the property damage, and of any visible injuries. And
Dale, Richard, having previously represented insurance companies in the past, I can assure you they have their attorneys doing the same thing right at the beginning of the notice of the claim. Now, what else will the attorney do for you?
Well, we're going to make sure that they're able to get the medical treatment they need. We're going to make sure that we get the documentation. You need to have all the medical records, the medical bills. A lot of times it's important to get the doctors to give you causation statements if the injuries are related, but the adjusters begin to argue that they're not. You've got to get documentation of the lost wages. You've got to get wage and salary verifications and doctor work excuses.
Richard, what if your client doesn't have health insurance?
Well, that's a real problem. With this bad economy, so many people can't afford it. And a lot of times, they might not get the treatment that they need because the treatment can be very, very expensive. We're able to get doctors to treat on liens so that they can get the treatment they need. And those doctors will wait till the case settles to be paid. And we've even been able to get clients surgeries and pain management funded by medical funding companies when a good personal injury attorney is involved.
And one thing I always stress to clients is this: do not take on the insurance company and their lawyers by yourself. It's a bad idea.
It really is. It's amazing. You know, you can settle sometimes for pennies on the dollar at the beginning of the case. You hope you're going to get better, but what might happen is the conservative care doesn't work, the pain management doesn't work, and then you're stuck with a surgical bill that there's nobody to pay for because you settled quickly for pennies on the dollar of what the adjuster gave you right after the accident.
I got a question, Richard. Why is it that immediately after an accident, even if no one's hurt, you get a call from the insurance company the next morning wanting you to state the case and exactly what happened?
Well, it's a good question, and what they are trying to do is trying to get you to state things that are going to minimize your injuries. You know, you may not know the extent of your injuries right away. They also sometimes will ask questions that you really can't answer about time, distance, space. You're just guessing. You don't know that, wait, I don't have to answer that because I don't know it. Well, if you say something that doesn't make sense, they can come back with accident reconstructionists and say, well, it couldn't have happened that way. You don't know. If you have an attorney involved, the last thing in the world we want is to allow someone to give a recorded statement. That just gives them two bites of the apple. If they're going to get that information, it should be through the deposition if we can't get it settled. And then we can prepare the client and we can object to questions that are not appropriate.
Being able to do that sounds tricky to me, Gary. Shouldn't they have a disclaimer that say you are under no obligation to answer these questions, but we're from XYZ Insurance Company? Do they have to do that, or they can just start talking?
They really don't. They'll come in and act like the long-lost aunt or uncle coming in. I'm here to help you. Well, no, they're not. They're trying to get you to sign off of that claim because once they've signed that release, it's over and done with, even if they find out the injuries are far more severe than they ever thought at the beginning of the claim.
Got it. Wow. Well, if any viewers want to contact you, Richard, with questions about a personal injury claim, how can they reach you?
Oh, they can reach me at 678-638-6035.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you, Richard, and thank you, Gary Martin Hayes. As usual, great information from our Legal Lifeline. Our show is not over, so don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back.